And we do have Coach Rhett Lashlee. Coach, thanks so much for joining us today. The Mustangs entered the American Championship at 10-2, went 8-0 in conference play, making their first appearance in the American Championship game. Coach, congratulations on an outstanding season and in reaching the championship game. If we just get your thoughts on the matchup with Tulane before going to questions.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. We're really excited to be playing in the game. It's a huge deal for our team, for our university, and hearing what Commissioner Oresco just said about our league is all true. You look at our league top to bottom, but especially the top four teams this year, I think, are all deserving championship caliber teams, and so we're honored and humbled to get to be in the final two with someone like Tulane, the defending champs. And I have so much respect for what Willie Fritz does, and what Michael Pratt and that entire team have done over the last two seasons is pretty remarkable. So we're excited to have found a way to make it through the season and to be in this game.
All right, we'll open up to questions. Again, use the raise hand feature if you have a question for Coach. We'll start with Stefan Stevenson with the Dallas Morning News, please.
Coach, can you give us a Preston update, please?
Yeah, I can. We found he had an appointment actually today with the specialist to confirm, what we all feared is he broke his lower leg, and so he'll be out for the remainder of the season. Really unfortunate for him, was having a fantastic season, and may have played his best two halves of football. The second half at Memphis and the first half last week. I think he was 14 and 19 for 322 and 3 touchdowns in about a quarter and a half last week. I saw it later. I didn't know. It's the most yards a quarterback's thrown in a single quarter since 2019, what he did in the first quarter. He was just really clicking. I think his growth and development all year has been exceptional. So we're really proud of how he performed this year. We've got some great quarterbacks in this league, but I think you could argue he's just as good as any of them. And so we're going to miss him. Fortunately for us, there's probably not a lot of teams that if they lost their starting quarterback could feel as good as we do. You look at other teams that are vying to be in the playoff or struggling with this situation, but we've got a guy who won a state championship just 2 years ago here in Dallas, in Kevin Jennings. He's played in big-time moments this year already. He came in when Preston got knocked out in the Rice game and led us on a big scoring drive in the last few minutes that was necessary to secure that win. And last year came in at Tulsa and played the whole half after Preston got knocked out. And then last year when Tanner got knocked out, came in and led us on a 90-yard touchdown drive against Memphis. So, you can't replace the experience and the production and how Preston was playing, but that's not what we're asking Kevin to do. We feel like we have a good team, and we feel like if Kevin will just show up and be Kevin, that he's more than enough, and we're excited about it.
Coach, was it his ankle, left ankle?
Yeah, it's the fibula, so kind of the upper ankle, lower leg. Yeah, it at least from everything we've been told, it's really clean. It's something that he should make a 100% recovery for sometime. I don't know exactly yet if he'll be back for the beginning of spring ball, but I would think by middle of March he should be almost back up throwing and doing everything, and should have a full summer and off season and be just fine for the future. Unfortunately, his season will come to an end, but he's going to be okay long term.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, we'll go next to Gary Smith for the next one, please. NOLA.com.
Sorry, I didn't take my hand down from the last question.
No worries. We'll go to Billy Embody, please.
Hey, Coach. With Preston and him being out, now you have Kevin, who obviously has played in big moments in the past, not only for your team but also at SOC. What is his demeanor like overall? And you've said you guys feel like you have two starting quarterbacks. What makes him be at that level for you guys?
It's just kind of one of the strengths of who he is. He's just very even keel. You hear the term. He's the same guy every day. That's what helped him, win the first DISD state title in, 50 or 60 years, his senior year at South Oak Cliff High School here in Dallas. It's what turned us on to recruit him right when we got hired for the job. And he's been that way ever since he got here. He's super talented. He can throw it. He can run it. It's been really hard. We've got so much depth on our team. We felt like at a lot of positions this year we've had co-starters, and quarterback's one of those positions. It's hard to do that. But if you could, he's talented enough to have been playing, and you don't always think that about your backup. There's usually a reason they're a backup. And And then just the way he's handled the times he's had to come in, that's the hardest thing about being a backup. You don't get the reps during the week, and then you're thrown in. And, he's handled that well. And it's a little different when you've never started. So, there'll be some probably different nerves that he'll overcome that we all have had if we play. But that's kind of been who we are this year, just a team, next man up mentality. Offensively, we got a lot of good players, but it's been a different running back, different receiver each week. And, we had our first receiver finally have a 100-yard game in week 12 last week, and same thing on defense. I think we have over 20 guys on our defense with over 20 tackles, but at least going into last week, we don't have a single guy in the top 25 in the league. So it's been a next man up mentality when guys get nicked up or banged up, and it'll be no different with Kevin.
Go next to Steve Helwick, please.
Hi, Coach. You've been with SMU for a few years now, but this is the first time in the AAC title game. What do you think clicked differently with your defense this year that allowed you to get over the hump?
Yeah, great question. I mean, that's what we felt like, for my time here as OC, and then even being back in the first year, that just if we wanted to have a chance to compete for the championship, we couldn't just have top 10 offenses. We had to have a championship caliber defense. And you look at Tulane and what they did last year. They had a championship caliber defense coupled with a big time quarterback and running back and really good receivers. And they've done it again this year. You look at UTSA, a team that was, coming down the stretch. They have a really good defense this year. And so the reality of it is we haven't had a top 40 defense at SMU in 40 years. And so we felt like that had to change if we wanted to change, our overall result as a team. And our staff did a great job of, we had some really good returning players like Elijah Chapman, DeVere Levelston, Nelson Paul, and Isaiah Wacobia, and on. But we went out and we were very aggressive in recruiting. We brought in some transfer defensive linemen that have really stepped up and made a huge impact, and some transfer DBs. And so we feel like we upgraded our roster and added value to those guys returning on defense. And then at the same time, I think you got to give Scott Simons and our entire defensive staff a ton of credit. Scott's a guy, when I hired him, had back-to-back top 15 defenses at Liberty. And so, he just needed to get 1 year here, get a system in place, maybe fill some holes like we did. And they were able to put guys in position, create a lot of confidence. And, fortunately, we were able to play some really good defense this year, and that helped us get here.
Next one, Kent Smith, allponies.com, please.
So, Rhett, when you were thinking about hiring Scott, I know that number on what the ranking was on the defense at Liberty played a big role, but what was it specifically that you saw in him and the way he ran the defense that made you think he would do this at SMU?
Yeah, it was really a couple things. Past experience was number one. Our business is tough. You got to have trust and loyalty with people that are on your staff. And Scott and I had a chance to work together in 2012 on staff at Arkansas State with Gus Malzahn. He was a defensive quality control in our first year there. So we knew each other. We had met each other and had a season together. We actually won a conference championship that year and won 10 games. And then I went with Gus on to Auburn. He went his separate way and had a great career. But that was the first thing. I knew who he was. So there's some familiarity. I know Hugh Freeze really well, was able to call him, get his opinions of him. And then the biggest thing is, yes, the numbers are important. They had a really good defense, particularly in the pass defense, which, again, you got to stop the run to win a championship. But we had been really, really poor over the last decade against the pass here at SMU. And so it's like, hey, how do we keep from letting people throw for 340 or 100 yards a game every week on us? They had been one of the top pass defenses in the country at Liberty. And then the last part that really made sense to me is he had done it with a guy like Hugh Freeze, who spreads the field, plays with up-tempo offense, much like we like to do. And they still had a really quality defense, which to me meant, he could work well with just what we want to do as a team philosophy. So I just felt like it would be a good fit. And, last year we made some really good strides in our pass defense, but overall, we weren't where we wanted to be. But, we made a big jump this year just because I think, that's what he was always capable of. And I think our players deserve a ton of credit for it.
Go next to Mark Narducci, please.
Hey, Brad, wanted to ask you about Jalen Knight and his availability. From what I had gathered, and I could be wrong, maybe he could have gone against Navy, but just how about his status for this game?
Yeah, I think we'll have all those guys. Jalen Knight and LJ Johnson practiced off and on last week. They just had some minor ankle injuries coming out of the Memphis game. they practiced, they warmed up, they were available. With it being senior day, we started Tyler Levine and Kamar Wheaton was healthy. And so we were going to start the game with those two and see how it went. And, we were fortunate enough to get a lead pretty early. And so Coach Hall did a good job of just not putting those guys in. And hopefully that extra week of rest will help them be as close to 100% as a running back can be in week 13. But we expect to have all those guys available this week.
Thank you.
Okay, next to Jordan Hoffeditz, please.
Hey, Coach, I know he ended up not starting because Preston was cleared, but how much does it help that Kevin got that week of taking first team reps before the UNT game, now going into taking first team reps and getting the start for sure this week?
Yeah, every experience you can get that is what a starter would get is valuable. And to your point, he repped really up until our day before the game run through. He repped like he was the starting quarterback that entire week because Preston wasn't able to do anything until the day before the game. So, I think that's just a little thing, but it's every little thing helps. Look, here's the deal. A lot of the stuff that people want to make a big deal about is going to happen pre-game, the night before the game, and warm-ups. Once you start the game, he's played a lot of football. He's played in a championship game in the state of Texas at AT&T Stadium. Like, there's not an environment that is going to bother him. And he was on the road with us at OU. He's come in those moments. He just needs to go out and do what our team's done all year and what he's done ever since he's been here, and just go play, be the best version of himself, understand he's got a great team around him, and he didn't have to go win it. He just got to go be Kevin. And I think our team can just do what they need to do around him, and he'll be just fine.
Just going to sneak in two more. We'll go to Gary Smith and then back to Stefan for the last one. So Gary, go ahead.
This time I do have a question.
Right.
Your trip to Yeoman Stadium last November didn't go well for you. Obviously, there's no bigger incentive than playing for a conference championship, but does that add a little bit more incentive what happened the way you played the last time you visited?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for bringing that up, Gary. Yeah, that was the low of our season last year. It was really the only game that I felt like we just didn't show up and play well at all. And credit to Tulane. I mean, they whipped us. So it was a bad combination. I'm not trying to say they didn't earn the win. They whipped us in every facet: offense, defense, teams, coaching, the whole deal. And on top of it, we didn't play very well. And it was a really bad combination, and they beat us really bad. So, it is a championship game. You treat it like a road game if you're us. Fortunately, we were able to go 4-0 in the league on the road this year. So hopefully that gives us some confidence. We have a ton of respect for that team and what they do. And in the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a lot of really good SMU Tulane battles in the regular season. So hopefully we'll give them a better game this time.
We'll take the last one from Stefan Stevenson, please.
Hey, Coach, 2 quick questions. How did the team react to the news about Preston? And also, I wanted to ask you about your extension.
Yeah, the team was disappointed for Preston. Everybody's bummed when you work your tail off as hard as he did, and you have the year he did throw for over 3,000 yards. And, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, aggressive as we are in what he does to value the ball. Man, just his development. You would love for him to be able to carry this through the end. But that's part of being a team sport. And, so they're disappointed for him, but they're not, I don't think, worried or concerned at all, because they know, one, who Kevin is, and they know who our team is. And so they're disappointed for him, but they're excited to go play on Saturday afternoon. And I know they'll play just as hard, and Preston will be there with us and leading us, and he just won't be leading us on the field. In terms of the extension, I think it's a testament to what our entire staff and our team and our players have done in these 2 years. It's exciting and humbling to, have our university's leadership and our athletic leadership believe that, we're the right staff here at SMU, not only this year to finish the year, but to lead us into the future. I think that's one of the things as we continue to hopefully take our program step by step every year to where, we would like to be on an annual basis. I think stability is a good thing. It's good in recruiting. It's good for our families, contrary to what a lot of people think. Coaches don't love moving around the country. And so, we're humbled. We're excited that the university leadership believes in us. Thankful to Dr. Turner and Rick Hart and David Miller and everyone else. But it's a recognition of the kids and the players and what they've done. For us to go to a bowl last year and then to win 10 games this year, hopefully it creates some stability for those guys.